Ever wished you could just, I don't know, skip the whole daily grind, like no more battling traffic or trying to remember what groceries you need, or even like stubbing your toe on the way to the bathroom at 3 a.m.?
The utopian dream. Sign me
No.
up.
Oh, right. Well, today's deep dive, it's like we're stepping into that dream. We're going to be exploring this future where technology has basically erased those everyday hassles. But, and this is a big but, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We're diving into Rui Cordeiro's Mundo Maravilhoso, a fictional world, sure, but let me tell you, it gets under your skin.
It's the way Cordero weaves technology into every aspect of the society that's both fascinating and a little bit terrifying at the same time. It's not just like cool gadgets. It's so deeply embedded in their lives that it begs the question, at what cost?
So, to give everyone a taste, imagine living in these self-sustaining communities they call nests, right? You've got food appearing as if by magic, pain that disappears instantly, and this network, the RUI, which is basically like having all the information in the world plugged directly into your brain 24/7.
Convenient.
Readily. But here's where things get a little bit creepy. Every Wednesday, like clockwork, people in these seemingly idyllic nests, they just start dropping dead. No warning, no explanation.
This chilling pattern, these Wednesday deaths, as they're known, it really suggests that there's something far more sinister lurking beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect world.
Wednesday deaths. High-tech havens. I don't know about you, but my head's already spinning. And to help us untangle this whole mess, we follow the story of Flora. She's a dancer, and her partner, Devin, decides to relocate to a remote nest. It's through her eyes that we start to grasp just how deeply integrated technology is in their everyday lives.
Imagine like meals materializing before your eyes, made from algae or injuries healing in seconds. They've even got these RUI implants that predict the information you need before you even realize you need it. On the surface, it seems like they've achieved utopia. But there's this constant underlying tension, this feeling that something isn't quite right.
Yeah, and this is where things get really interesting. There's this seemingly insignificant detail, a red butterfly that Flora sees. Sounds harmless enough, right? But when she sees it, her usually all-knowing RUI implant just goes blank. Can't identify it at all. Now, in this world that's supposed to be run by all-knowing tech, that's a pretty big red flag, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's like finding a glitch in the Matrix, this tiny crack in the facade of this perfect world. And for Flora, it's the first clue that things are not what they seem. And to really understand how they got to this point, we have to rewind a bit, go back to what the book refers to as the collapse.
And this is where it gets really real. We're talking about a global collapse, mass casualties, the whole shebang. The nests, they didn't just pop up out of nowhere. They were built on the ashes of our world, a world that's seemingly self-destructed. We're talking about a full-blown societal collapse. Cities crumbling, communication networks down, people just gone. And what's so eerie is that Cordeiro gives us these glimpses into the chaos through these, like, recovered video logs from a researcher named Nafti. He was living through it all, trying to make sense of the madness.
And Nafti's research is really the key here. See, he was convinced that the collapse, it wasn't random, it wasn't natural. He saw these patterns in the deaths, these eerie similarities to what's happening in Flora's time with those Wednesday deaths. Suddenly, those deaths become even more sinister when you realize they might be echoes of the past, a past someone's trying very hard to bury.
It's like those in charge of the nest are trying to pretend the old world never even existed.
Exactly. Out with the old, in with the new. Right.
But you can't just erase history, especially when it seems to be repeating itself.
And that's where Flora's decision to leave the nest becomes so pivotal to the story. Remember, she loses contact with Devin after he relocates. Well, that desperation to find him, it pushes her to leave the supposed safety of her community and venture out into the unknown world beyond the nest.
Talk about culture shock. She goes from this high-tech haven right back to, well, I imagine it's got to be a lot like what Nafti experienced, scavenging for scraps, trying to survive in the ruins of what used to be our civilization.
It's a brutal reality check, that's for sure. Inside the nest, everything is provided, controlled, sanitized. But outside, it's all about hardship, struggle, but also resilience. We meet these communities, like Daniel's group, who've taken refuge in a dilapidated stadium. They're trying to rebuild society with whatever scraps they can salvage, rediscovering lost skills, relying on each other, forming these genuine human connections. Makes you wonder if they're actually more alive than those inside the nests, even though they have so much less, materially speaking.
It really makes you think, if you were given the choice, would you choose comfort and control, even if it meant giving up some of your freedom? It's a question that becomes even more important when you start to learn more about the Nest technology.
Because here's the thing. The nests, they might not be as self-sufficient as they seem. Remember Jonas, the tech enthusiast Flora meets on her journey? He's totally obsessed with digging up the past, literally. And in doing so, he discovers something massive, a hidden map of data centers that reveals this direct link between the nest's locations and, wait for it, that pre-existing tech infrastructure.
Hold on, are you saying they didn't build all of this advanced tech from scratch? They just, repurposed what was already there?
That's what it looks like. And that brings up a whole host of other unsettling questions. Was the collapse orchestrated to pave the way for the nests? Were they intentionally designed to rely on this technology that predates even Nafty's time? It's like someone or something had a plan all along, and those living in the nests are just pawns in a much bigger game.
Okay, so we've got this potential link between the nests, pre-existing tech, and this mysterious force that might have caused the collapse in the first place. But where do the Wednesday deaths fit into all of this? Is it a bug in the system or a feature?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question. Now, the novel doesn't give us any easy answers, but it does offer one final piece of the puzzle. Remember how Nafty was convinced there was this unknown entity behind the collapse? Well, as Flora digs deeper, she starts uncovering clues that suggest this entity might still be in control, that those Wednesday deaths, they might be a form of population control.
It's like they're trapped, isn't it? Blissfully unaware in their high-tech cages.
That's the real kicker. They don't even know what they've lost. And that's what makes Cordeiro's writing so powerful, so unsettling. He forces us to ask ourselves, would we be any different?
If someone offered you a world without pain, without fear, a world where all your needs are met, could you really say no? Even if it meant giving up some of your freedom?
It's that classic philosophical dilemma, isn't it? Would you rather be a happy pig, completely oblivious, or a sad Socrates burdened by knowledge?
And Cordeiro takes that dilemma and he throws it into this high-stakes game of cat and mouse. You've got this mysterious entity pulling the strings, this advanced technology that's both a blessing and a curse, and these characters caught in the middle, trying to figure out who to trust, what's real. It's a wild ride.
And it stays with you. Long after you finish the book, you find yourself asking, what if? What if our world went down that same path?
Well, and in a way, aren't we already on that path? Look at how quickly technology is advancing. It's becoming more and more integrated into our lives.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive, this discussion so important. Because Mundo Maravilhoso, it's not just a work of fiction. It's a warning. It's a reminder that progress comes at a price. And we need to be careful that the price we're paying isn't our freedom.
So where do we go from here? We've got Flora, she's back in her nest, but she's not the same person who left. She's seen the resilience of those outside. She's glimpsed the truth behind the curtain. What happens next?
Well, Cordeiro leaves that up to us to ponder. And I think that's what makes this such a powerful ending, even if it is a bit of a cliffhanger. We're left with more questions than answers.
Was the collapse really an accident, or was it orchestrated? Are those Wednesday deaths just glitches in the system, or are they something more sinister? And what about Flora? What will she do with this newfound knowledge?
Will she try to wake the others up, even if it means risking her own safety? Or will she ultimately be swallowed by the very system she's trying to escape?
It's enough to give you nightmares, but it also makes you think. And I think that's what Cordeiro was going for. He wanted to spark a conversation to get people talking about these really big, really important issues.
And that's what we're hoping to do here as well. So, to everyone listening, we want to hear from you. What did you think of Mundo Maravilhoso? Do you think our world is headed down a similar path? Let us know your thoughts on social media. We'd love to keep this conversation going.
Because in a world where technology is advancing faster than we can even comprehend, it's more important than ever to stay vigilant, to ask questions, and to never stop searching for the truth. Until next time, keep your minds open and maybe, just maybe, keep an eye out for any unidentified red butterflies. You never know where they might lead.